Hello, everybody, welcome. In the field of personal development, of life coaching, and of mental well being, there are many experts who help us and enlighten us with good practices, with understanding of how life goes, and with how we can improve it. And there are also a lot of charlatans. But among these experts, there are four in particular who had a big impact on my life. And I'd like to share with you who those four are in a ranked list. So from the fourth to the first. So if you stay until the end, you learn who, according to me, the winner is. So at the fourth place, I would like to mention Esther Perel. She's a famous psychologist. She's an author, podcast host, and she's specialized in couple therapy with a focus on recovery from infidelity. She explains very well that many times negative relationship dynamics come from wrong or excessive expectation from each other, from the other partner. So for some reason, because of cultural reason or because of fictional depicting of romantic relationship, many times we expect from the other partner what used to be provided by an entire village. For example, we want the best friends, but we also want the best lover, and we want the best cook and the best handyman and the best educator for our children. You understand that this is not sustainable by a single person. And so we sometimes lost focus, which is the bonding key, the key that bonds our relationship, which is intimacy, or as she says, into me see into me. So she points out what all this kind of stuff, but also explain it in a convincing way, because she tells what's wrong, but also why sometimes these days we are led to behave in a certain way that is negative for the success of our relationship. As I say, she often addresses infidelity to the point that somebody criticizes her, she claims, somebody criticizes her because saying that she's too forgiving of infidelity because she's French. And she says, she replies that they're all wrong because she's not French, she's from Belgium. Anyway, so I never had specific issues with the infidelity, but I still enjoyed to hear her teachings because there can because first of all I want also to improve my relationship, so this is one of my goals in my life, and also because some of her teaching, also most of her teaching also are useful in a non-romantic relationship like work or family and so on. And also the infidelity can be seen as a lack of trust, which we should learn to address sometimes. At the third place, I'd like to mention Chris Godinez. Chris with a K. She's a therapist in Arizona. She also have a YouTube channel called We Need to Talk. Godinez, not Sanchez, like somebody thought her name was. So she's an expert on narcissistic abuse, narcissistic personality disorder, CPTSD, and many other things. She's basically the next door's therapist. She talks in a very casual way, but still she's credible because she explains, the dynamics that she teaches, based also on some physiological or psychological things like amygdala, the fight or flight response, fight, flight, freeze or flee response, stress, trauma, all these things. And she makes a lot of real case examples. And one that stuck to me that it's worth mentioning here is the case of the waitress. This waitress, her boyfriend accused her of flirting with her customers. And because of that, she didn't want to disappoint her boyfriend, stop entertaining and be friendly with her guests. and this caused her to lose most of her income, her tips, and if I remember correctly, she was also fired from her job. So the point is that some people want their allegedly loved one, their the people they have around, their target, to not succeed, not to succeed in their life, because they want them to be dependent, so they have the control on them. And but she goes beyond. Chris goes beyond this. So she also she explicitly says that this kind of people, these toxic people, narcissists in particular, they want you dead. They want us dead because they makes everything like makes healthy food look lame, doctors look scary, success in life look selfish. Everything you have success in life, friends look selfish. So because they don't want you healthy, they don't want you succeed and take care of yourself, and ultimately that will lead to shorten your life. At the second place, I'd like to mention Dr. Ramani Durvasula. She goes by Dr. Ramani. I don't know why, because her last name Durvasula looks simple, at least from my native language. But anyway, Dr. Ramani, she's a psychologist, she's a university professor, author, TV personality, YouTube channel host. She's very present. She also is Will Smith's therapist, at least in some context. She's very smart, intelligent. Really, she blows my mind. She is knowledgeable. She knows everything. She's specialized now in narcissistic personality disorder, but she started, or at least at a given point of her career, she also focused on weight loss. And the title of one of her books was "You Are the Reason. You Are Why You Eat." She was born in New Jersey, if I'm correct, but now she lives in California, and probably because over there things are grandiose. So she noticed this increase of narcissistic tendency, to the point that she started helping those who are impacted by narcissistic people, and also she's very active in educating people on YouTube channel and other media. And she explained this kind of stuff in a really relatable way, even though she's an academic, but she really explained in an easy way, easy to understand. Also, the particularity, she embraces some of the urban terminology that developed, in a narcissistic personality disorder. There are, of course, the official criteria, but there are also some terminology that are a little bit folkloristic and urban, like flying monkeys, hoovering, gaslight, this kind of terminology that she embraces, she approves, because they really explain very well things that happen in real life. And sometimes, she makes example, like Chris Godinez of the I mentioned earlier, that you think, how does she know that this happened to me? Because sometimes they look like they present some part of, some episode of our life, of my life, that really happened. And anyway, so she's very knowledgeable also in other topics, and you can ask her anything about psychology or a relationship. One example, somebody asked her about cheating and emotional cheating. I confess I was the one who asked that. And she replied in a really impressive way. She said, cheating is what you define it is. But the definition doesn't matter, because what matters, if for two people, if what is the definition of one person in the relationship and of the other person of the relationship. If they don't match, that there will be frustration and discomfort. Anyway, for example, if one person thinks or decide that cheating is having a sexual act with somebody, with a person not external to the relationship, and the other person say that cheating is also simply talking about another man or another woman, then it's most impossible that to meet in the middle, let alone that they agree with the other person definition. For example, if the first person say, okay, I'm not gonna talk about any other man or woman, depends on the situation. um, it is not in their nature to do so. So with time, they will be really, constrained and frustrated not to do this kind of stuff that they consider normal, even though they promise not to do that. So it will cause discomfort. At the end of the day, the relationship will not work. So, as you notice, in this list there are only women, and I can confirm that also the first place is owned by a woman. This is not to say that there are no male or non-binary experts that are really good at coaching or helping people improving life. For example, I can mention Jim Rohn or Jordan Peterson, or maybe the most famous Tony Robbins. They're good. I'm sure they're good, and also I follow them every now and then. But and see a difference. Probably at this point of my life, I needed being a man, needed a woman's point of view. That's why I focus on these four ladies. And also the other difference that I see from male influencer and other influencer not in this list, that many coaches, they focus on what's wrong or what is the good way to achieve stuff, without putting the thing together, or without saying why things happens, why we behave in a dysfunctional way, and what are the small steps that we need to do to get to the solution, to the improvement of our life. So yeah, so do you have a favorite coach, or a favorite influencer, or favorite person that have a good impact on your life? Let me know. I'll be happy to follow up. Now let's see who is in the first place of my list. The winner is Brooke Castillo. Okay, so she is not a psychologist, so not in the therapist or the clinical field, but she has some psychological educational background, but she's actually a self-made, self-taught life coach. And so she founded a school, and she coaches, and she hosts a podcast that now is sailing toward the 400th episode. So basically, she didn't skip a week for the last 6, 7, 8 years of episode. And the latest episodes are more related to interviews and success stories, but the first 100, 150 are really pearls of wisdom, of real life, of everyday life hacks that are really easy to understand and to apply and make a big improvement of your life. So they're about boundaries, emotional adulthood, unconditional love, relationship, toxic people, forgiveness. So very interesting. She's also, I think she's the one that really understood the human brain, the best among, or at least she explained it very well, because she explained how to improve our life by understanding why our brain works. So like neurotransmitters, dopamine, oxytocin, and the prefrontal cortex, the primitive brain that make us seeking certain reaction, some unconscious actions and addictions and so on. She at the beginning focused on weight loss, like Dr. Ramani, and these ladies understood that actually weight loss is something that you need to understand how to eat, but also you understand why you're forced to eat, you are have this push to eat. So they understood that, for example, Brooke says, I mean, many of her clients were dietologists, so they knew everything about calories and food and rhythm and metabolism, but still they could not lose weight, and because there is something in your psyche that needs to click, to make it happen. And to the point that one of her booklets is the title is "If I'm so smart, why I cannot lose weight?" So this is funny. So, but I mean, the thing that is most important about Brooke Castillo, that she invented or perfected, but I would say she invented this model that she calls the model, where, I mean, she teaches that the results, the achievement that we have are driven mainly by our emotion, or the emotion that we have while we are doing the actions that lead to these achievements, or what we think, I mean, the emotion that we expect when we meet the goal. So the good news is that the emotions are not created by physiological, by internal stuff. They are not created by external stuff, but they are created by thoughts. And we can control thoughts, so we can control our emotions, so we can generate the emotion that we need to achieve this goal. I tried this on my life and it really works, and it's one of my main tools that I use in everyday life to address any kind of things that I'm approaching. So I hope that you like this video. Thank you very much for choosing this video. I hope this helps. And I mean, if you want to go in depth on these topics, feel free to leave a comment, of course, or visit Bliss.advocate.com, and I'll be happy to follow up. So have a great day.